So next, we have Piet Colruyt, who will be giving us a keynote speech. Piet is a visionary leader and a change maker in the field of social entrepreneurship. Piet's dedication to drive change on the social and environmental side has really made him a true inspiration for many of us as well. Piet.
Good morning. I will tell a very personal story. It's my journey as a next gen from a Belgian supermarket family business, thriving for more impact. How can we have more impact? And what I want to show, I first called myself an impact investor, but now I'm talking more about impact financing. Impact financing is a broad spectrum. I will give my some examples of my portfolio to showcase how broad the spectrum is. But it's polite to start by presenting myself. Who am I? I am a PC, a personal computer. When I met my wife 32 years ago, she's a psychologist and she could know, she said, your computer, your rational part is very well developed, Piet, but your personal interrelational skills are less. And in fact, it's the same with Piet Colruyt, where my wife also told me, yeah, everyone looks at you because of your family name, but where is Piet? Who are you? And then it's a joke in Dutch for those who understand it, your Piet is too small. Going back to my roots, 1928, my grandfather started selling other products in the bakery of his father in Lembeek. It's a small city, 15 kilometers south of Brussels, where I was born, where it's still the headquarters of Colruyt family is. He started selling coffee, chocolate, tea in the bakery. Today it became a family, a listed company, 33,000 employees, 10 billion turnover, with some supermarkets in Luxembourg, but mainly in Belgium. And it is in 2010 that I asked in my family, 120 shareholders, that I asked myself, what is my role? Who am I? That's the easy answer. I was really asking myself, midlife crisis, 40 years old, what is my role? And my father always told us, in our family we have 4 types of people. You have really the commercial guys, the sales guys. My grandfather could sell everything. Then we have the engineers with very focused, sometimes narrow. My father is an engineer. We have also artists, very creative, not so good in selling, not so good in calculating. And the 4th category, there was the uncle priests, the aunt nuns. In the former generation, in our generation, it was the philosophers, the thinkers. And so, 2010, midlife crisis, I thought, okay, I studied philosophy, engineering, architecture, corporate finance, but I didn't know who I was until I met this organization, Ashoka. Ashoka is worldwide the biggest organization about social entrepreneurship. It was for me the first time I saw this combination, social entrepreneurs. And the representative of Ashoka in Belgium gave me this book, How to Change the World. And this book changed at least my world. It's full of stories of very passionate people not stopping until they found solutions for the big societal issues. When they were 15, they started their first organization at school, 20, a company at 25. They were in the government. So I was 40 years and I said, maybe I'm not myself a social entrepreneur. Gratefully, I was an investor and I discovered impact investing. And both impact investing and social entrepreneurs, that's where I will be talking about. And since I discovered, okay, this is really the way I want to go, promoting social entrepreneurship and impact financing in Belgium, I give presentations like this, and sometimes it's in front of an audience of people from the non-profit sector, and they are all a bit in defense. Yeah, some from Colruyt talking about investing, that must be window greenwashing or window dressing. But the same presentation for an audience full of businessmen, they are also in defensive. Social entrepreneurs, we are all social entrepreneurs. We create jobs, we create prosperity. So for some people, it's a contradiction. For others, it's a pleonasm. I like it. Traditional spectrum, non-profit at the one hand, for-profit at the other hand, it's clear that what we are talking about is something in the middle. And we see many non-profits are tired to every year fill in some subsidy files or go around with the head to beg for more donation money. So they are looking for new business models, how they can have their own income. That's the financial present at the left side. At the other hand, you also see that traditional businesses, pure businesses, only going for shareholders' value, they have to deal with more and more legislation, but also with consumers sometimes not interested in companies that only look for shareholder value. So there is a societal pressure from the other side. So in the middle, it's clear that's where I'm going to talk about. I like to make a difference. On the left side, there is a dotted line in the middle, and this dotted line means that impact motive first and finance motive first are both impact investing, and you can invest in social enterprises, but also in inclusive companies. And it's not that inclusive companies just do whatever they want and only look for money. No, both want to combine doing good and doing well. But I think it's interesting to see that, to make this difference. Classical non-profit organizations are at the left hand. They can be, it's always non-profit, but they can have business models. They have other income-generating motives. Traditional investing is at the right side, where you go for finance first motive. And then there is a gap, and this is the gap that interests myself. Social entrepreneurship can be non-profit, can be for-profit in the book. All those stories, some have the best model is a business, the other ones take a non-profit. So, and impact investing is there in the middle. And so together, all this, what's interesting for impact financing is here in the middle. And I'm doing it since 2010, and I will give some 7 strategies where I evolved to all possible ways to maximize impact. The first one was the idea, okay, how can we make non-profit who are doing good, how can we make them more sustainable? Can we make their revenues higher and less depending from subsidies or donations by having a market, using the market with services or products, so from making from NGOs social enterprises. And the first example that I wanted to give is also about planting trees, the African Great Green Wall, you know probably. It was a non-profit organization, Ondernemers Zonder Grenzen, who started with the idea in Burkina Faso, working with local villages, 250 hectares, and planting trees to really also give them jobs, but also for climate reasons, it's a perfect way to try to change their lives. He had the difficulties. There was Ecosia, there was a Google alternative searching engine that paid for the trees, and they saw after some time that it was difficult to have enough trees per hectare. We heard the story about the fences that you need, and but some consultant looked at it and they say we can do much more. We can really double it. Instead of 500 hectares. We went with a for-profit enterprise, capitalized with some loans. We went to 8,000 hectares. Today we left Burkina Faso because of the difficult state, but it's going well in Senegal today. So making from non-profits social enterprise, that was the first idea. I was a businessman. I wanted to have impact investing, so we wanted to transform them. The second one is, of course, if they are integrated models. If the turnover is not making money with your right hand and then giving something back to society with your left hand, if it's a lockstep model, they call it, then the idea is you can maximize impact by also growing those companies, so making smaller social enterprises bigger ones. And then I would like to give this example where it's a startup from a student that I met, some data engineering, Casimir Morobé, who started Tokwa. His thesis was about artificial intelligence, machine learning, putting some sensors on these big vessels that they are very stupid. The big vessels, they just go full speed in the direction of their destination. But if you, with the sensor, take into account weather conditions, salt condition of the sea, the Gulf, or the, what is it, getijden, then you can make them much more intelligent and adapt also the period when they are entertained. No, the onderhouden, what is it? Doesn't matter. So we could save 6% of carbon reduction. 6% seems not much, but it's just by putting, it's no capex almost, it's just a software, and 6% these kind of vessels use 1,000 very heavy fuel per hour. So it's really also about big carbon and energy savings. So making smaller companies, starting to support them to grow, and that's what we are trying to do with an incubator and accelerator program. Sometimes we see that many of those idealist social entrepreneurs are not the best managers, and sometimes it's good just to copy the good idea, put the team together and start at a bigger scale. That's what we call copy-paste from social entrepreneurs, making really inclusive businesses from it. The example here that I wanted to give is on carbon reduction, energy reduction. There was the idea of an ESCO, energy service company. You can, as a third party, invest in energy reduction. And we thought, okay, if it's not doable in elderly homes, then it's impossible, because elderly homes are kept 24 hours, 7 on 7. They all take the shower and the bath on the same time, so it's a perfect place to test this ESCO system for energy reduction. And we started it with small ones, but we said, okay, this is working. We will have a rolling funds, and today we renovated 200 buildings, on average 40% carbon reduction. We started as an investor with 5% equity return, which is very low, but it seems to work, and then banks came in 1 year later because they saw that it worked, and 17% was refinanced at lower rates, so we had a better return. So this is the idea of making ambitious, more ambitious companies if you see that something is working well. Another way is make business, traditional business, more inclusive. So now I start from the right side and going back to the left side, and that's a bit what happened also with our own family business, traditional supermarkets. When my grandfather started with Colruyt, probably he wanted to earn money. He had 9 children to feed. He wanted to have a nice car and a nice house. And then the next generation came in and they built, okay, a company only can grow if people can grow. So the people aspect came in, and it's the third generation, my generation, where since 1991 we are pioneering on environmental issues. Also by saving energy, that's the most green energy. If you can save energy, our supermarkets are on average 50% less energy consuming. So going from only profit to people and profit to people and profit and planet, that's the example of making businesses more inclusive. Another way to maximize impact, there was the idea, okay, on the left side you see those with the nice ideas. They know very well the problem, they know, but often the money and the scale is on the right side more. Can we collaborate? And that was the idea, okay, how can those social entrepreneurs inspire the bigger companies on a larger scale? And that's the story of Tobias Leenert. He's also an Ashoka Fellow. He's told me the story, okay, why we should eat less meat. And it's less meat because it's, of course, better for the animals. It's also better for the planet. It's better for your own health, and it's the only way if we have 10 billion people on this globe to feed more with plant-based. He had the idea not to stop being activists and saying that you are murderers if you are eating meat. No, just one day without meat, 30 veggie day in Belgium, but it's copied worldwide, so it's in the US, it's Meatless Monday. But the idea is to promote it by promoting plant-based food and with the alternatives. And I asked himself to come to present his story to Colruyt, which is in fact the biggest butcher in Belgium. And we were planning to have a new factory of 45,000 square meters. And he told his story why he thinks that the meat consumption should go down and we all have to go to more plant-based foods. And indeed, his story made an impression. We reduced the factory to 30,000 square meters and we made 2 lines, one for meat, one for plant-based alternatives. And what we see is that it's working well. And I asked Tobias, what is the best alternative? And he was talking about a small company. It's a social enterprise in the Netherlands who was a very good substitute for chicken-like meat. And that's where we invested in. And he was right. So this company grows every year 50% and meat consumption is going down. So it's also to have these contacts with these social entrepreneurs, always 5 years ahead, are also good business opportunities. Another one, and till now I always promoted impact investing, and it must be a business model and for-profit to be sustainable. But if I'm really a social first impact investor, I had to admit sometimes it's good if you make money with something, maybe just supporting most system changing non-profits, it's also the way to go. And the example here that I wanted to give from NGO to no-go, where it's really think that you should change the system, is this example where we had our first wind mill in Halle in 1999. It was a fantastic investment in that sense that on every annual report it was on the front page, but it was also a good investment, and we were looking for more permits, but as you know, it's a kind of NIMBY syndrome. No one wants them in their backyard, and then we said, okay, we have to make a cooperative that all citizens in the neighborhood can invest in it. But it was still difficult, and then we thought maybe we should go to the North Sea and start with offshore. In 2009 we started. We were the pioneers in offshore wind in Belgium, and it's going very well. We built many parks, and we sold it last month or 2 months ago to Japanese, because the amounts are so huge, but we played our pioneering role. This is all very nice, and we made some nice money, but I thought maybe it's even more interesting to sue the government. And that's what we did with Climate Case. And the Climate Case is a non-profit organization. They were looking for 500,000 euro, but the idea is, like they did in the Netherlands, and they won, to impose the judge, ask the judge if they are doing enough to protect the citizens for climate change. And the judges were clear, they are not. And so the Belgian government is also convicted for violating human rights. But we are going into appeal because he didn't impose some injunctions. So that's the other way of using foundation or donation money to really system-changing non-profits. So you can say, okay, it's going all the way from sometimes investing in Africa and sometimes in plants and plant-based food or renewable energy or energy consumption. What is he talking about? In fact, it seems very much, but it's always the same. It's trying to be inspirational, that my peers and others are inspired by the stories and also start doing it. And so that's why we organized last week together with EVPA and Ashoka an Impact Week in Brussels. It was almost 1,500 people in Brussels on this impact financing idea. And we also launched Impact Finance Belgium. It's an institute really to bring together all pension funds and bankers and insurance companies and also family offices to multiply the assets under management. Today, it's only 1 to 2.5%, depending on the definitions, but we should double it to, or even multiply it by to 10%. That's the goal of IFB.
Apply now.